This video is going to go over the calibration procedure for the carbon monoxide system on the new Bauer units. This covers several different units, but as long as your screen looks like this and you have the CO monitor as an option, this will be the procedure for it. A couple of things: you're going to want to make sure you have your test gases. It requires 2 test gases. You're also going to want to get your password from your local distributor or from Bauer Compressors in order to do the calibration. Okay, so this is the home screen you'll see. You're going to want to make sure that you have a regulator, excuse me. There's multiple regulators available, but this is the regulator that has to be used on this CO system. Okay, it flows the proper pressure and flow. You're also going to want to make sure that you've got your test gases and that they're current and they're not expired. Okay, so the test gas for the 20 part per million for the Bauer compressor systems is part number cylinder or CYL16. Okay, and the part number for the 0 test gas is CYL20. You're going to want to make sure you've got those before the calibration. Another thing that I like to do is I connect the regulator to each of the bottles or each of the test gases, and then with the regulator closed, I look at the dial to make sure that I've got pressure on each cylinder. Okay, I don't want to start the calibration without full cylinder or without cylinders with gases in them. Okay. Also, you're going to want to familiarize yourself with the compressor system, and you're going to want to find the CO sensor. Okay, this is the CO sensor. It's a sensor 134. Okay, it's going to have a blue, usually a blue hose connected to it. Okay, you're going to want to find where that's at on the compressor before you do the calibration. Okay. So once you've got your test gases, the regulator, you know where the CO monitor is, the compressor's been powered up, everything's been stabilized, you're going to go through a calibration. Okay, there's a couple of different ways to find it. You can scroll over here and there's your calibration, or you can also go into the menus and go to configuration, device configuration, gas sensors. Here's your CO monitor right there. Okay, so there's 2 different ways to find the calibration menu. Okay, right now we can see that it's 82 degrees at the sensor. There's 0 pressure because the compressor is not running. You cannot do the calibration with the compressor running, so you want to make sure it's turned off, and we have 0 parts per million of carbon monoxide. So the first gas that we're going to connect is going to be our 0 air, and that's going to be a cylinder 20. So we're going to connect the regulator, and then we're going to, at the CO monitor, okay, so once you find the CO monitor, you're going to quarter turn the blue hose off, and then you'll be connecting the quarter turn connection to the end of the sensor. Okay, so I'm going to find that, and then we're going to make that connection. Okay, one of the things I like to do is make that connection and make sure that it recognizes pressure. So I'm now flowing 0 air to it. So I'm going to push to calibrate. Okay, calibration step, I'm going to hit set 0. Okay, and now sometimes it will skip over and it'll go to set span. Okay, you just need to hit set 0 again. Okay, set 0. Okay, now once you see the pre-stable timer counting down, it's going to count down for 2 minutes, then it's going to go through a stable timer, and we're setting the 0. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the video off and catch up when we get closer. Okay, we're going to be counting down the pre-stable timer on our 0 gas. Once it gets down to 0, then it'll go into the stable timer. Okay, and that's going to count down. Once it's at 0, then it'll be asking us to go through the span. So we'll want to get our 20 part per million gas ready. Okay, now at this point I'm going to connect the 20 part gas. Okay, now at this point I'm going to hit set span, and it's going to start counting down again for that 2 minutes. Now unfortunately we don't know if we're flowing gas because the program at this point doesn't tell us what our pressure is. That's why before we start the calibration we want to verify that both cylinders of test gas both have enough pressure in them so that we can go through a complete calibration procedure. Okay, so you want to double check that, and if you don't have enough pressure, make sure to call your distributor, call Bauer, and order those gases before you continue on to the calibration procedure. I'm going to go ahead and catch up here in a minute. Okay, the 20 part per million of the span setting is almost done with the pre-stable timer, and then it'll go into the stable timer. Just pointing out that the customer here has requested that there's no calibration reminder set up, but you can set that to remind you a certain periods, 90 days, 30 days, whatever is required by your department. Okay, once it gets done with the stable timer, it'll say calibration complete. One of the things I like to do is I go ahead and hit that button, and at this point I should see the 0 part jump up. Okay, I still got the pressure, so this is still the 20 part. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back into push to calibrate, push to complete. Okay, I may have to do that a couple of times. I just want to make sure that it recognizes. There we go. Okay, exit. So it's now saying exit, and now I can verify that the last gas that I used was a 20 part per million gas, and so it is reading 20 part. Got pressure, got temperature, and now I calibrated the CO monitor system. I'll go ahead and note that in my log or put a sticker on the compressor. I'll go ahead and disconnect the I'll disconnect the 20 part and let it air out.